I was on my way to do a gig on the Alabama coast, to meet some folks, make a buck, and play some honky-tonks. Ain't nothing new, it's the way my life has always been. Then it hit me hard that I was here to talk with him again, in a graveyard in Montgomery, in a storm. This ain't the first time that I stood here at the graves of Hank and Audrey, not knowing what to say. When I go south on 65, I usually end up here. He OD'd back in 53, so why do I still care? In a graveyard in Montgomery.
Welcome everybody to Picks and Bones. This is your host Eric, bringing you the best in Americana, red dirt, black dirt, and some good old Carolina clay, and just good American rock and roll. Tonight, we are live and in person with the legend himself, Billy Don Burns. Let me welcome you. Billy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother. You know, that legend thing started 7 or 8 years ago, and I tried to stop it, and I never could, and so I just let it go. But I was always scared somebody like Willie Nelson that is really a legend would see it and think, I know him, he ain't no goddamn legend. But, you know, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, and I mean, in a lot of people's eyes, you are a legend because you've inspired so many younger artists that are coming up with what they're doing their thing.
It's amazing, man. I don't know how that happened because I never really had no big hits, but I think because this is my 50th year playing honky tonks. I think that's probably what it's about. I don't know.
And that's because you're real. I think that's the biggest thing, because so many people are not. They have that one persona that they put off when they're out and they're out on stage and everything, and then there's a different one where you don't change.
Well, thank you, brother.
I mean, and you put on one hell of a show tonight out here at Puckett's. That's for damn sure. But let's talk more about you. We'll get into the wheres and whens and everything.
If I could, I'd like to mention Linda Parks and Jeb Brown. Jeb's my main booking agent, but sometimes Linda helps us in the Carolinas, and I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, she's an awesome lady. And we'll go ahead, and we've got a mutual friend, too, that I'll give a shout-out. And I know he's going to listen. Dallas Moore.
Dallas, nobody of mine. Yes, he is.
Keep it going straight, amigo. We appreciate you.
He's like me. He's out there somewhere tonight, ain't he?
He is, for sure. How did you get started playing music to begin with?
My daddy, the only time I ever seen him in church was in a coffin. But Mama kept us in church every time the doors was open. But I was Daddy's favorite, so Daddy would take me with him when I was a little boy, and I seen a lot of stuff through Daddy. But we'd get back home, and I'm talking about when I was 4 and 5 years old. We'd get back home, and Mama would have me in church again. And I think that's wide spectrum from booze and whores to Jesus. I kind of think my songwriting came from all that. I don't know, but that's what I think.
No, I mean, I can see that. I mean, that's kind of goes hand in hand with everybody. I mean, you got your booze and Jesus, or my wife's a poet. She has one line in one of her poems that she had it was a 12-pack of apostles. That was one of the best lines I've ever heard on something. When did you start playing guitar?
When I was about 14, I guess.
You remember what it was? What kind of guitar it was?
I do. We lived in the Hills, Arkansas. We had to order it out of Sears Roebuck catalog from Chicago.
Okay.
And it was a silver tone. And I think it cost $12. And it was, of course, the strings was real high, but I learned some chords on it. And then after I'd had that guitar 6 or 8 months, I was at church, and this guy that played guitar there played a Gibson. And he said, hit a chord on mine. And I hit a chord on that Gibson. I said, man, if I ever get the money, I'm going to play me a Gibson. And that's why I'm a Gibson man.
I love a good Gibson myself. I know everybody's like, you got all the Martin fans and everything. Or in Taylor's. I mean, I love the sound, but not everybody can make them sound as well as they can.
I'm a Gibson man. Of course, I tell everybody I'm the worst player I know that makes a living with one. That's about the truth, you know. Really.
No, I get it. Who were some of your influences musically?
The two biggest would be Hank Sr. and Johnny Cash. And there was a lot of them, but they were the two big ones. And I tell you, old, man, I can't believe it. John Fogerty, you know, to me, Creedence was country rock.
Oh, yeah.
And John Fogerty had a big impression on me, too, man.
It was working man music.
Yeah.
You got any favorite stories from the road that you can tell in public?
Most of them are X-rated. Well, you know, when, you know, Johnny done hard time 3 times, and he shot the guy, and at that time I was working with him, and I picked Johnny up at the airport across the river from Cincinnati in Covington, Kentucky, and delivered him to the state police in Hillsborough, Ohio for his sentencing. And on that trip from the airport to Hillsborough, Ohio, I said, Johnny, why don't I come in and record you, man, while you're in prison? He said, man, that's a great idea. He said, be sure and call Haggard. He'll help us. And used to, if I would get a hold of Merle, I'd go through Bill Fadams, his drummer.
Yeah.
I'd call Bill's house, and his wife, Betty, would tell me she'd tell Bill, and old Bill would always give my message to Merle, you know. So I did that album, and a lot of reasons it didn't come out, but anyway, it was a great album.
Be great if you could get your hands on it now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, see, I produced it, but I didn't own it. Hank Cochran owned it because it took I spent $75,000 that day on a studio and a semi, and I had to fly Merle in on a Learjet because he played Kansas City the night before Chillicothe. He played Dallas the night of Chillicothe. So that was like $10,000 bucks, but Hank owned it. I produced it. Hank owned it, and his wife. The only bad thing I could say about Hank, because he was a great man, was she kind of wore the britches, and she's the reason that album didn't come out.
Who else are some of the folks you've written songs for?
Well, Willie, Mel Tillis, Johnny Paycheck, Sammy Kershaw, Connie Smith, and the new guys would be like, of course, Whitey ain't, Morgan ain't that new, really. After Waylon died, me and Whitey toured with Waylon's band some, and then after that was over, a few months later, Whitey got a hold of me and said, man, I'd like to cut that song, because your memories cost a lot when you don't make them.
Last night I wrote some songs with a friend of mine. You could say he's a legend in my mind. He said, boy, I can feel your pain through your whiskey mind. But there's more to writing songs than rhyming lines. He said, memories cost a lot, you don't make them. Well, when you lose your family, son, you never really can replace them. And that's good for writing songs if your heart can take them. Son, memories cost a lot.
And then
you don't make them.
Cody got that album, Nights When I'm Sober, and he recorded 2 songs off of there, and then Coulter, and a bunch of, I get a song cut these days almost once a week, but most of them you never hear. All of them ain't that great, but it's about this new bunch, you know.
Yeah.
But every now and then you get a Cody or a Coulter or Whitey in it.
Well, I think you're really an inspiration because, I mean, you're out there, you tour nonstop.
It's all I know, brother. It's really all I know.
Well, and see, and I think so many of these guys that are coming up now, you know, they've had it easy. They haven't had to live the harder lives like you guys that kind of laid down the foundations for them.
Well, if they can get through it without, you know, I say do it, you know, but I don't know. It's been great. If I died tonight, it was wonderful. Has it been easy? Hell no, it ain't been easy, but it was wonderful. You know?
It's one of those. It's a good trip. It may have been a lot of bumps along the way, right?
A lot of bumps.
Lots of bumps.
Yeah. And that's bumps. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, kids. Come over here and join in.
Yeah, you can come on.
Let me tell you about old Jeff here.
That's all I have to say.
After Johnny went
This
to
is Jeff, Billy Dunn's guitarist.
Jeff Williams. He was the leader of
The Living Circle.
John Carter Cash. He put John Carter's band together and was leader of the band, and got to spend a lot of time with Johnny and June. Jeff did, and
Played in the Living Circle band. It was June Carter, Johnny Cash, Rosie Carter, John Carter, Laura Cash.
So you really played.
I played guitar with Johnny Cash and June Carter for almost 2 years.
That's awesome.
I almost made the prison band myself.
Right on. Was he hard to work for?
No, he was a cinch. I learned the Mother Maybelle style picking from June, and it was a real treat. My first big introduction to country music in the traditional sense, and after that I got into bluegrass, played with Hayseed Dixie for a while,
Great band.
and really I got the gig playing with them because I produced 77203 or Train Called Lonesome on Billy Don Burns, and we used the two brothers, the mandolin and banjo Reno brothers, Dale and Don Wayne Reno. Their daddy wrote
Oh, okay.
Yeah, their
and
daddy
so
was
they're
Don
like
Reno.
bluegrass royalty, man. They pick their freaking butts off. They can play any instrument, both of them, but they both specialize in banjo and mandolin, and that's what made Hayseed Dixie what it was.
Yeah.
And really they hired me as the guitar player from doing the session with Billy Don. They played on his record. We gelled so well. We went out for a while together, and we did shows with Billy too. We went to Europe with Billy one time. Went to Berlin, Germany, and played the country music messe.
What a mess. The mess of it.
Festival Buyers Convention.
Yeah.
Had a blast, you know, and over the years, done a lot of records and demos with Billy, and just
We
probably
really-
hundreds, really.
Yeah, we're well, I probably work more with Jeff than anybody else in the business, I guess, because
We spent a lot of time in the studio together. We started when I was 16. When I met Billy, he was my boss at the studio, so we're back to square one. He's my boss again on the road.
There you go. Hey, everybody needs a boss.
Yeah.
Mine's
Wow.
over there eyeballing me right now.
Could be worse. I think.
Yeah, there's damn. It could be a damn shame worse, couldn't it?
Wheeler.
but you know, Jeff is a good one, and we have a good time. You know, if it ain't fun, brother, I ain't gonna do it. You know, it's like, you know, it's got to be fun. For
Yeah.
me to do it. I mean, if the club owner's on my ass or something, I walk out, and I don't take much shit. Never did, but damn sure on at 70. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. I know you said, you know, you kind of got brought into the music and everything with your dad and whatnot. Who were you listening to back then that really got you inspired to keep playing?
The first ones I really remember would have been Hank Sr. and Johnny Horton, Lefty Purcell. I was about 10 or 11 when Johnny Cash had a hit called "Give My Love to Rose,"
Mm-hmm.
and I started singing that. And then I found out it was from Arkansas, and it made me think that, well, somebody from Arkansas can do that, I guess, you know. Johnny was a big influence. When I got that letter, I cried like a baby. You know, I couldn't believe it. You know?
Yeah. What's the hardest thing about being on the road all the time?
Well, you can't have a family. I mean, if the woman can't go or don't go, one or both will be having an affair, and you know, it never seems to work. You know.
Yeah.
It's hard, you know. You know, you do a hell of a lot more driving than you do playing. But like we played in damn little town, Tennessee last night, just northwest of Nashville. I can't even think of it. About a 500-mile run today. And the night before that, we played Chillicothe, Ohio, where Johnny was in prison at. And the night before that, we played Cleveland, and that's how I lived my life, you know. I mean, I played from Tokyo to Paris. I mean, I've been pretty well traveled, really.
What's it like playing honky tonk overseas?
Man, I tell you, the Europe crowd is really, really good to people like me, and in Tokyo too. I mean, if they love you enough to bring you over there, they're going to be a good crowd. You know?
I told people once I really started doing this show, you know, you got to look at the numbers sometimes. It doesn't matter, but I've got a lot of fans that love the music that you guys and the folks I'm bringing on my show. France loves country music and honky tonk and just good old Americana. Yeah. They can't get enough of it. And I mean, I love that because I mean, I told somebody, I'm like, hey, I'm big in France. Y'all kiss my ass. You know, if I can't make it here, I can at least go to France.
I played over at Disneyland in Paris one time. It's pretty wild. Yeah, it's been good, man. It ain't been easy, but it's been good, been fun. If I died tonight, it was worth it, you know.
Well, I know, you know, everybody has ups and downs. You got a new album coming out.
That's really wild, too. I mean, best record deal I ever had, I got when I turned 70. That's hard to believe it.
That's
Very unusual, very unusual.
Yeah, and you've been in the business 50 years?
Yeah. First time I ever got paid up front from a record company in my life. This company's out of New York, and a buddy of mine that used to manage Charlie and George Jones, Charlie Ammerman, told me he could get me a deal with these people. And I knew Charlie believed he could, but I didn't think he would. They got MCA distribution. It's a pretty big company.
Yeah.
And Charlie did it. And Shooter, I noticed they had a Waylon album on that label, and I called Shooter, and he said the album that Robbie Turner found in a vault, they titled it The Lost Nashville Sessions, I think. He leased it to this company, and he said, man, they're great people, they pay good. So, but Charlie actually got me there, you know. Charlie gave me this watch right here, which is about a $500 watch, Pierre Cardin. He told me in 1974, see, he managed George Jones and Johnny Paycheck in the 70s.
Yes, sir.
Managed Johnny in the 80s. But he said he done something that George was happy about, and they were having dinner in Printer's Alley in Nashville. And George took his watch off and gave it to Charlie. And Charlie gave it to me about 3 or 4 months ago.
Wow.
So it was George Jones's watch, man.
That's awesome. Carrying around a piece of history with you.
Yeah.
And kind of staying true to the old guard, if you will.
Yeah. Me and Charlie was buddies for 40 years. He's the one that got me with Paycheck, which I already sued him over that one, but I won't know. Hey, when you, is this blasting out right now, or is it going to be run later? Or?
It'll be run later.
Let me know, would you?
Absolutely.
And I'll call Charlie Ammerman and let him hear it, and Jeff will want to know, and Jeff Brown and all them. So
Oh yeah. So what's the name of your new album?
they titled it. They put Outlaw Billy Don Burns Country Blues.
Okay.
The guy that owns the label come up with all that. I think they think I'm a real outlaw because I've been to prison. I guess maybe I am. I don't know. But,
And you still ride your Harley.
all I can, brother. All I can.
And I mean, you're still picking, you're still living your life. Nobody tells you what the fuck to do. So you're out there just living your best.
Man, I see them kids with my name tattooed on their arm. I get thinking I must have missed something, you know, because that's quite a commitment, you know.
It is. And I think you know, whether you realize it or not, I think you mean that much to a lot of people out there.
It's crazy, brother. I don't know how that happened.
Well, your songs, I mean, anybody that's ever listened to you, I mean, everybody's got their one song or, you know, hell, half the catalog that, you know, you inspire people because you are real. You've lived your life on your terms the best you could. And in the day when not everybody has that confidence to get out and do that, it's easier to get signed up with some big fancy record company and everything, but you've kind of pretty much stood your ground and been your own man, and that's why so many people are going to look up to you for that, because they may not experience that in their world right now.
You know, when I got out of prison, Shooter and his wife Misty went down and had BDB tattooed on their arms. Those kind of things make me think I missed something somewhere, you know.
Or you did something right.
I don't know.
Well, let me tell everybody where they can catch some shows and everything. I know February 15th, Billy Don Burns is going to be at the
Palace.
or the Backroom Lounge.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Well, over there at Jeb's place.
You're right.
Jeb Brown, that is.
It's right there at Springfield, Illinois, Springfield, Riverton. That's where he's playing.
Then on the 17th, he's got a sold-out record album debut at he'll be at Duke's in Indy.
Great club, man.
And then on the 19th, the Palace in
Duke,
Nashville.
You know, if the people get louder than me, I forget my words, so and I have to cuss them or walk off. And when I did that guy's club, Duke's at Indy,
Yes, sir.
next time I played there, he had a neon sign over the stage that said, "Shut the fuck up and listen."
I love it.
And that club's really been good to me. But you know, if it gets louder than me, I can't do it. It's just I can't think of my words. You know.
Well, I know you've had a long day. I've just got a few more things that I call these the bare bones.
Okay.
These are just some simple things. We've already talked about what your favorite guitar is. You're a Gibson man. What is your all-time favorite book?
I'd have to think about that. Well, I tell you, a book that got me into reading was Jack London's Call of the Wild. That got me to read. I'd never experienced. I mean, I could hear the snow falling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got into John Grisham and read several of his books. I liked his books too, but Call of the Wild made a big impression on me. You know?
That's good. Are you a barbecue man?
I like it, yeah.
You like pulled pork or brisket better?
Man, I like them both.
Now, do you like dry rub or are you a sauce guy?
I'm not really a sauce guy. I like mine too.
That's how I like them too. Okay, what was the first record you ever got or picked out for yourself?
Well, I guess the first one I ever bought was about 1965, somewhere in there, which means that if it's 65, I would have been 15 years old. And Willie Nelson had a record out, Turn Out the Lights, the party's over. They said it all, good things must end. And I went and bought the single on that. And my brother, the preacher, who turned out to be a preacher, he said, because Willie wasn't a big selling a lot of records back then, but I'd read about him, you know, and my brother said, "That son of a bitch can't sing." I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "He wrote that song, you know," but that's the first record I remember buying, and you know, I bought Waylon's. It was the first major album he did, about '66. He had an album out before he put out in Phoenix, but this one was on RCA. I can't think of the name of it right now. Nashville Rebel. I bought that within 6 months, and when I bought Willie's, and they weren't connected back then at that time, but that's like two of the first records I remember buying was those two.
And then you ended up getting to be part of their lives too. So, had you only known.
Man, I've been lucky and stuff like that, you know. I don't know how that happened either, you know. I don't know.
All right, what was the first concert you ever went to?
Well, my people, they weren't concert goers, so I never went to nothing big as a kid. So, I mean, you know, I was from a real rural part of Arkansas. Back then it was all dirt roads, and I was born at home. I got drafted, and when I got out of the Army, the first time I needed a passport to go to Europe, they said, "There's no record of your birth." And I said, "Well, I was in the Army," and they said, "There's no record of your birth." So Mama had to go out to the courthouse and swear that I was born in that holler over there.
Wow.
So it's a pretty primitive place, really. But then I got to work some shows with Ernest Tubb, a bunch of the old timers, which was a big thing to me, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, those deals was bigger than life to me. I mean, because those guys were bigger than life to me.
Oh yeah, and such good musicians.
I don't know. I just got lucky, I guess. I don't know.
You got a favorite song?
I don't, brother. My songs are they're like all my children, some prettier than others.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be one of yours.
I mean, I had favorites coming up, like when Bobby Bear sang the old Mel Tillis song, Detroit City.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped on that. Long Black Veil. A lot of Cashew stuff. A lot of Hank stuff. And then I got to play Hank at Opryland. Got to meet both his wives, Audrey and Billie Jean. Both came to the show, which that was pretty heavy for me to meet those guys, you know.
I'm just going to throw one more at you. Do you have, like, your own personal mantra or your own phrase that you tell yourself to keep you going through day in and day out?
You know, when I ride my motorcycle to California in the winter or something, which the last 5 times I rode to the West Coast, 2 of them was in the winter. Couldn't have it because I didn't have a car at the time. But, and winter before last, I did 46 towns in 54 days. The hardest tour I ever did was in Europe. I did 37 cities in 41 days.
Wow.
But I've just done it so long. It's like that last girlfriend I had, she couldn't understand. She said, "You're home. You're where things are normal now." And I said, "Baby, normal to me is with strangers in fucking Philadelphia or London or somewhere.
Wherever the road takes you.
Iowa, you know." And she couldn't grasp that. But that's normal to me, man, you know. That's how I spent my life.
I hear you.
And it was good. I mean, a lot of lonesome times, but it was good.
You have that. Well, Billy, I appreciate you taking the time tonight, sir.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
I've always appreciated your music and everything, and I really consider it an honor to have the opportunity for us to just sit down and talk and share a little bit. And, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to while we're wrapping it up?
Well, old Jeb, he's my booking agent. He is the best one I ever had, man.
And guys, thank y'all so much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for taking the time. Be good to each other, and I'll see you next week.
Welcome to the Neon Circus. Step right up and see all the clowns. Just a few drinks buys a ticket to the greatest show in town. There's Hank's wife, she's been out all night with a Boot Hill buddy again. After she gets what she wants, she'll go back home to him. And the blonde that lived with the drummer last night, she's back and she's setting up close. The drummer don't know that tonight she'll be the guitar player's show. Welcome to the Neon Circus. Step right up and see all the clowns. Just a few drinks buys a ticket to the greatest show around. The party over at the table went out the bathroom door. Everybody knows what they've been doing, coming out wiping their nose. There's Full Moon Freddy, Boot Scootin' Betty, got on the western wear.
From the kids to Aunt Sue, keep your whole family connected on all their devices with crowd-pleasing gig speed internet from Xfinity. Now that's simple, easy, awesome. Learn more about gig speed internet or other popular plans. With Xfinity, you'll enjoy faster downloads and a better streaming experience. Go online, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Actual speeds vary and are not guaranteed.